Hello everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. If you are new to the channel, what I do on here is I talk about different esoteric research subjects. Freemasonry, Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, the Tree of Death, archangels, demons, Freemasonry, you name it. We talk about all of these different things on here. What are some of their practical applications? What are the more underlying understandings of these topics? So what I want to talk about today is I don't really have anything super specific, but pretty much just talk on the topic of having humility at the end of the day. I have seen a lot of people struggling lately with their lives, their endeavors, just trying to get things squared away. You know, it just seems like it's nothing but chaos. And to me, I guess even my existence for a while seemed pretty chaotic, but it's not much compared to what some people are having to deal with. And for a long time, I guess I still do it. I'll beat myself up over feeling like I'm not accomplishing enough, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm basically not reaching the objectives or the goals that I'm hoping, am seeking to achieve. But when we really look at it at the end of the day, the world is really kind of crazy, and we're really lucky to just be here. And it's really hard to just for a lot of us to just take that time and really just reflect and breathe and meditate if we need to. I've slowed down on a lot of my ritualistic and ceremonial practices lately, just because I've been giving myself more time to just come back into the body, get comfortable with being here in the present moment, regardless of how much I may have gotten done or haven't gotten done. Many of us have certain responsibilities in life that takes precedence over. I love doing these YouTube videos. I really do enjoy connecting with the people that I have on here. I really do enjoy educating people on different subjects. I'm not a guru. I'm not a master. I'm not necessarily a leader of any sort. I have been in leadership positions before, of course. But at the end of the day, I'm just another human having my own experience. And I think everyone's journey is a little bit different. I think that, I might beat myself up over, for instance, I've never consciously initiated through the Sephirothic tree. I could say I've dealt with the archetypes of the various Sephiroth in many different ways. Even when I'm doing my Kabbalistic cross and other ritualistic practices, I'm visualizing that connection between all the Sephiroth and my own body in relation to the Tree of Life and the Tree of Death, being the center of the circle, that dot in the middle of the circle, being the microcosm to the macrocosm. It's all one. It's all one moving, flowing thing. And that's something that I've been trying to get back into is more into the flow of things, rather than trying to restrict or restrain, because a lot of it's been about control. The past couple of years, trying to fixate and control physical reality to be more and less of a discordant, what I view to be a discordant state. There's a lot of chaos that's taking place because a lot of us have lied to ourselves, myself included. I've spent the last few years living a life based on a picture that I was creating for myself and for others. What I thought was real was not real. And when that illusion gets shattered, especially when it affects your entire life, it affects not only the people you care about, well, it not only affects myself, and it not only affects you, you know, when you go through something like that, but it affects the ones we love too. So humility, being humble, even in the face of adversity, of all of these different things, of all of these hardships. If you can take it one day at a time, and as long as you're moving in that direction, where you know that you're working towards your better self, you know that you're working towards your higher self, every little bit helps. I feel as though I don't have the time to commit to this YouTube channel in the way that I want to, or really to a lot of my endeavors. I don't know, there's just days that I have I've attempted to be strong, but if I'm gonna be honest, there are many days where I feel weak, where I feel defeated, where I feel broken, where I feel like, what's the point? Why don't I just live a normal life? Whatever that means, you know, that's going to be a different definition for everyone, but just live a totally go with the flow kind of life where, you know, like, oh, I don't give a shit anymore. I'm just going to quote unquote enjoy myself and just go with the flow and do what I have to do. And that's that. But I think if I'm being honest with myself, and I think a lot of you are the same way, that's not good enough. And it doesn't mean we have to be hard on ourselves. It doesn't mean we have to punish ourselves if we make a mistake, if we make a slip up. I've been doing a lot better than I was a month or two ago, a lot better. As far as my own, I have certain things that I'm working on, and I've made a lot of progress in some things, a lot of progress. If I go back a month or two ago, I was struggling with some heavy depression. And I've focused more on myself lately, my own process. And when it comes to circumstances or things that I feel like would give me pleasure in the temporary moment, but I know in the long run that it would not lead to my ultimate happiness, I've turned away from those things. I've looked at them and looked into it, not in a running away kind of way, but saying, you know what, this may not be in my best interest to do this or to take this course of action, especially if I'm practicing prudence. And by prudence, I mean looking down the road and seeing, is this actually in my best interest? If I do this thing and I have this temporary enjoyment, will it further traumatize me and take me even further from my path? And then I'm going to do this negative loop thing again. Or I can make a conscious decision to make a change. Even if it's not overnight, you know, even if it takes months and months and months, as long as you are pushing yourself in the right direction, I think there's a lot to be said for that. There's a lot to be said for being, or for having contentment and really just that humility, being able to humble yourself enough that to say, this might suck. This might suck at the moment. It may not be fun. But I'm going to buckle down and I'm going to make better decisions. I'm going to choose to surround myself with people who make me feel better. who are maybe even on a similar path. They don't have to be on the same path, but they have to understand what your path is. And they have to be, willing to give you space. And it's the same way, same thing goes for you with them. Maybe magic, maybe the occult is not really what they are into. And if that's the case, letting them be who they are. Giving yourself enough patience and time that in order to give yourself time to figure out who and what you truly are and what it is that you want in this life. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just being patient with myself. I'm learning to love myself a lot better. I didn't realize how much I wasn't doing that. I just thought that I felt like I was trying so hard to be a better version of myself, whereas everyone around me didn't give a fuck. They didn't care. It was never about being better. It was about escapism. And we all do things to escape the reality of this realm sometimes. This isn't really a fun place to be all the time. But the lessons here are beautiful. We just hit 11:33 a couple seconds ago. There are beautiful things to experience here. And for me, I've been able to do certain things or take certain actions which are finally giving me my power back, which are finally helping me to see more of my self-worth without having to do as much, if that makes sense. I'm making more calculated decisions instead of in-the-moment decisions. And in doing that, that will slowly put myself, and if you do the same thing, put you in energetic resonance with the outcomes and this reality that you are seeking, to have manifest. Humility. Having enough humility to say that I don't know all the answers. As much wisdom as I have, which I do have a lot more than the average person. There's a lot I still have yet to learn, but I am knowledgeable enough about that which I don't know, if that makes sense. I know what I don't know. Enough to say that I don't have the answers. There's enough of that mystery aspect still that, I don't claim to know all the answers. I'm not going to tell anybody what's right or what's wrong. You should take this path, that path, do this ritual. Maybe the best thing's not to do any ritual at all. It's kind of what I'm starting to realize, at least for me in this present moment, in this time. There are still certain spirits. I hit 13:33 in the video. That was cool. Certain energies that I still work with, but not as much in a ritualistic format. It's more of just sitting with the energy and sitting with myself and connecting to that energy a little bit and seeing what can it teach me, what can it show me. I've started to notice that some of these darker energies, like Lucifer's energy, for instance, it's an energy which will actually push you in a way that it's saying, hey, that's not so much in your best interest. This is more in your best interest. This may not seem as fun, but you need to make this decision because this is the better one in the long run. This one is going to be the decision that if you hold out for this, if you work on you more, if you stop doing this thing or this thing, it's going to bring better results. I've noticed that with the Lilith type energy and the Lucifer type energy. They're harsher energies, they're harsher teachers, but they kind of push you to be better for yourself, I've noticed. Or with the angel energies, they'll kind of heal you in the short run, and they're very beneficial, the angelic energies. but there's always kind of they don't put the pressure on you as much to make the change, I've noticed. So it's much easier to have a mishap or a slip up with the angelic energies I've found. They're just not putting the pressure as much on you. It's like having the demons, it's like having a tough overseer or like a tough boss versus like the boss that just kind of lets things slide. Like, in the angelic energies tend to be more that way. Now, I think what makes working with angelic energies harsh in some degrees is that you're trying to basically make your consciousness and your astral body and all of those things more quote unquote etheric in nature, because you're uniting more with like Kether and the higher aspects on the tree of life, like Kether, Hokmah, and Bina. But to do that, it almost takes a sense of coming out of your physical body to be in these more celestial realms. And if you try to do that without the proper foundation, the proper grounding, what it's going to do is it's going to make your ass fall so fast. You're going to succumb to the temptations of the physical flesh a lot easier. So you need almost that grounding that in the roots of some of your darker aspects first. Face them head on and process and integrate them that way. When you do rise above, when you are finally working on raising that, taking your body, the temple of the self, and working through those higher spheres of creation, you're going to be able to do it in a way that's not only more authentic and safe, but you're going to be more successful at it. Because you're coming at it from a space of, I'm not just depending on angels to fix things for me or to make things easier or to heal me when I've been making mistakes myself, which have probably caused that. So being tough and strong physically, mentally, not being so much up in the clouds, questioning yourself, what is actually real and what is not real? Am I just living in illusion? Because that's what can kind of happen too with trying to work with those higher spheres and jump straight into that and start doing all these ritualistic practices. That's why I had a friend lately who she was having trouble with some of the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram. And I told her it could actually light you up on the astral realm. When you're doing those practices, you're like a spotlight for a bunch of other entities. And it's not that they're necessarily evil entities or you have to banish or reject them entirely. But you are going to pick up the attention of things that can come in and kind of play the trickster for you. They can really take advantage of you. And portals can become opened up within your body, especially through like substance abuse and things like that. And that's actually, I'd like to do a whole video on that sometime. Really actually talking about the hippie psychedelic community and the new age movement, what I would call like the hippie. I guess if you've ever been to, like, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the tie-dye people and the people who are into the psychedelics, and that's like their lifestyle. They identify with that completely almost. It's like music festivals and drugs and light worker type stuff. And there's a lot of good people in those communities, but it also leaves a lot of room for a lot of people to get hurt spiritually, because they don't know what they're getting themselves into. They think, oh, I'm just having a fun spiritual experience. Ooh, look at this looks cool. When in reality, they're opening up portals and they think they're having a blissful angelic experience, and the demons can sweep right in and take advantage of all their traumas they haven't dealt with, all of their bypassing that's taking on. Makes it really easy for those types of energies to come in and really mess up somebody's life. And the person is walking this path of false self and they don't even realize it. They might just be feeling good in the moment, but what they don't realize is their own power is being taken away by something, maybe not even just a substance, but by entities, like leeching on and being parasitic. But those things are being attracted to them to teach those people, to bring them back to themselves, so that they're not relying on a whole culture. They're not relying on a false sense of spirituality. I think a lot of those kinds of people lose touch with reality. And I've dealt with some of that. So I may make a video on that. I'm wanting to do a video on that, but it's such a touchy subject for me. Just because I do know so many people that are in that community that I really do care about. And I kind of had to divorce myself from that community entirely. I was mostly going to those events and things because I play music. I'm a musician. So I was able to see a lot of things. I was able to see a lot of the lifestyles that people live, the things that they do kind of in the background. And it's not always pretty. A lot of those people, they have good intentions, but it leads to not so good things, and a lack of grounding, a lack of discipline. So yeah, I mean, it all comes back to balance. It all comes back to being humble once again, and not humble in the fact that like, oh, look how humble I am. Look how, I'm a lot of people, I think they try to get into the mind space where it becomes almost it's an egoic type thing to be humble. Especially in the new age, talking about the new age spiritual community, like, oh, just love, man. Just, just be, don't think too much. Just let things happen the way they are. And you do have to do that. You do have to surrender. You do have to surrender to a certain degree. That component does totally come into play. And that's a lot with what I'm dealing with right now. I'm having to surrender to what the universe is making me face within myself. The lies that I had been telling myself about, who I really am and what I really wanted. And that's why I'm not making any major moves right now. For the most part, I'm just kind of taking care of myself, trying to take it easy where I can, and do what I can, basically one day at a time. And yeah, humility in the sense that, I don't know all the answers. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to let the universe kind of show me signs. I'm going to be a little bit more observant. I'm going to practice more of that feminine energy, whereas I'm letting things kind of magnetize to me. I'm not grasping for things. I'm not hoping that a particular outcome will become manifest. Because if I just work on myself and get myself in alignment, that will help everything else kind of fall into place. So yeah, I think there's a lot of power that comes in humility. A lot of people are so prideful. I don't even know if prideful is really maybe prideful is not the best word. Maybe more like stubborn. I mean, I'm stubborn too, but some people are so stubborn that, they really think that like the world revolves around their tiny little, the things that they get so egoic about. It's silly. It's like nobody cares, dude. Like, I dealt with it a lot when I worked I still work in a grocery store. But people being like, oh, they don't have this. My day is just ruined. They're out of that. It's like, it's like, don't you have more important things to think about or to worry about or to wonder about? People really do get that caught up in this realm. And I'm just thankful that I guess I don't. I have a bigger mindset. I have a bigger view. I try to see the bigger picture. And if you really want to be successful in the occult, you know, in the hidden mysteries, or any spirituality, you have to almost set aside your self-importance. You have to know that you are the creator, but also that you are just an aspect of the creation as well in this physical form. Our spirits are immortal. Our souls are immortal. You have to ask yourself, you know, what is worth getting caught up in? What is actually worth it? Is it worth getting so upset or trying to sell your soul? And you can't really sell your soul. What I mean by that is, are you really just doing things in life for just not an aim of the big picture, but more just for quick gratification? And, you know, there's nothing wrong about, you know, doing things to gratify the self. But if it's always just a quick gratification, and then you're not actually feeling better, you're not actually growing, then it makes it tough. So really, I know I keep saying it, but just remaining humble, and to the point where you realize that there is a bigger picture. It's not always about me. But at the same time, you also have to love yourself and know that there's a reason you're here. There's a divine purpose you're here. You have a real mission to accomplish here. And it's going to be different for everyone. It's never going to be the same for any two people. And the way we experience life it's different for everyone. So it's really kind of hard to determine some of these things. I think I could ramble on, you know, a bit longer, but I think that pretty much covers, you know, that was pretty much a somewhat channeled message today. I didn't really have, you know, a specific topic. I did want to talk about humility and kind of seeing the bigger picture. And, you know, it's not all about me in this moment. And sometimes we need to build ourselves up so that we can manifest better things for ourselves in the future. So, and actually being conscious of like which direction we want to go in, but also not giving ourselves such a hard time that, you know, we're hating ourselves for not being as far as we want to in this life. You know, I think it's more about contentment and enjoyment, but not enjoyment in like a shallow type of way, or, you know, real contentment, real enjoyment. When you can sit back and say, you know what, I do enjoy my life. And if you're not there now, it's fine. Get yourself to a place where you can be content, where you can have peace of mind, and where you don't have to always worry about, am I as far as I want to be? Am I getting as much done as I want to get done? It's okay. It's okay. You are loved. Tap into that divine feminine of the universe, that divine feminine energy, that acceptance, knowing that you're loved. Even if you feel like there's nobody in your life that's a person who loves you, there's energies. The cosmos is always trying to work in your favor. It's trying to work with you. Allow that feminine love to come in. Allow that nurturing love to make its way within and to be known. So I think that's all I have to say on that subject. Also, I am very, very close to getting chapter 9 complete of my audiobook, Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic, which is on Patreon. So make sure you go and check out my Patreon if you have not checked that out yet. I also have the PDF of my entire part 1 of Freemasonry and Ceremonial High Magic. It's $75, but Patreon now has I don't know if you guys saw my post, but Patreon now has a thing where they charge an additional 30% to you, the customer, to cover some kind of Apple fee. And that pisses me the hell off. That really, I don't like that. I wish you guys only had to pay either the same amount, or I could understand like maybe a 3 to 5%, to maybe pay for some fees or something, but a 30% increase, I don't know that I'll be able to, I don't know that I'll be able to sell my stuff on there, unless, people are really willing to pay that extra 30%. And then Patreon doesn't even give you the full $5 to begin with. When you subscribe to the Patreon and you do your $5 monthly, I usually get it's somewhere between like $3.85 to $4.50. It's not even the full $5. Like Patreon's taking some of that money out. Now Apple's taking some of that money out. So I don't know why they're trying to make it so difficult for everyone. I feel like that's going to affect a lot of Patreon creators. And I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's really weird. I don't know why they're doing that. So I may have to find a different space or a different website to start selling things on. LVX recommended Etsy, which I may do that. Etsy's more like for crafts and things, but maybe I should look into that. I don't know what other websites would be good for selling my stuff. I like Patreon because I can put audio, I can put little audio clips on there. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting. So I'm sorry about that, guys. But if you're willing to support me on Patreon, still it's $5 for, I think, for like 75% of the audiobook chapters, and then you pay $10 to get the rest of the material. So like the whole Master Mason, I think the Fellowcraft and the Master Mason chapter, and then the next chapter is going to be the Mark Master Mason, the lore and some of the symbolism of that degree, because I don't go into specifics of ritual, because that's not what I do. That's if you want to know all those things, you need to be initiated in Freemasonry yourself. But if you read Masonic lore, if you read Masonic texts from different Masonic authors, etc., they'll go into the symbolism. We're allowed to talk about what the different symbols are in Freemasonry and different generic things about the ritual. And what I do in my book is I talk about the connections between Freemasonry and then ceremonial magic, and then what are the similarities, what are the differences, because they're not exactly the same thing. But they're not really completely separated either. So a lot of people get confused about that. And that's why I wanted to write this book. I really wanted to create a book where all of it's kind of laid out. All of the lore is there. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of bringing the knowledge from all the different books there are out there and bringing it into one place, and then giving my own personal experiences and my own knowledge and adding it to that. So I think my PDF book is now, I'm charging $75 for it, but they want like $103 now or something is what they're asking on Patreon to cover that additional fee. So yeah, I don't know. It's if you guys really want to support me on there, the knowledge is worth it, in my opinion. If you really are into learning about Freemasonry, and if you're into learning about ceremonial magic, that book is going to be very, very valuable for you. And I think the knowledge is worth it. I spent a lot of time. I actually spent a couple years working on that book. I think I've been working on that book since 2021, and I've just gone in and worked on it whenever I can, and I've worked really, really hard on it. And just in this channel in general, I've put a lot of time and energy into this channel, and it's one of those things that if it, I'm not going to get mad if the channel doesn't continue to grow, but it does need to start growing a little bit more if I'm going to kind of invest this type of energy and this time into it. So I'm really kind of at a standpoint or a standstill in a lot of ways, because I don't know. I guess I'm just going to keep investing my time and energy into it, but I also don't want to spend too much time and energy into it, or put too much time and energy into it, because I haven't made any money from YouTube. I have made a decent amount of money from Patreon so far, and that's why I do like using it. But I don't like the new rules and stuff, and the new fees that they're charging customers and whatnot. So I'm sorry, everyone. This was kind of a ranty type video. Make sure you also go and check out the new Knights Templar video I did. That's probably the most in-depth video anyone's really done on the Knights Templar, other than the Grand Master. He's done a whole new set of videos in like this past year or 2 years on YouTube. Those are going to be the only other videos that are like really, really great about Templars, I think. And then my video, I read some sections from P.D. Newman's work, and he goes into some really cool esoteric aspects of Templarism and how it kind of ties into certain sacraments and things like that. So we got into that in that video. So lots of cool things. Guys, I do want to bring I do have a lot more stuff to share. I also have a lot more to work on on my own spiritual practices. That way I do have more to bring to the table, and I do have more to share. But it's just been hard times lately as far as trying to invest the time that I want to into the channel, and then knowing truly which direction I'm going. Because like my schedule today, I work like 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then I also work the next 2 days. So it's a mixture of like kind of trying to enjoy my time while I'm not working, and I don't have other duties and obligations, but also trying to stay busy and keep this channel growing, and keeping my Patreon growing, and continuing to move on as well. So I will go ahead and end the video here. Please like the video if you have not already. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and make sure you subscribe if you found value in this content, and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified of new videos. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for being a part of this channel. It really does mean a lot to all of you who have been involved and who are part of the Soul family now. So it's great to have you in, and take care, everyone. Peace and blessings, and I will hopefully see you very, very soon. So take care, and until next time.